Hey everybody, it's Jenny from Norman S. Wright. A couple of days ago, I was at a restaurant and there were two diffusers that were kind of on either side of me, and I was sitting at the point where the two throws would have come together. So I thought it'd be a good topic this week to talk about what happens when airstreams collide. So let's get started. I mentioned before that catalog data are taken under ideal conditions. Throw tests are performed using isothermal air with a single diffuser in the center of a test room. In application, though, diffusers are installed with other diffusers. They're installed with ceilings, walls, lights, other things that might affect the airflow pattern. So let's move this out of the way and let's draw a diffuser. If you remember in the last video, I talked about when the air leaves the diffuser, a low pressure zone is created that pulls the air towards the ceiling. This is the Coanda effect. So if we look at our diffuser in the room, the air pattern will travel along the ceiling until the velocity slows to about 75 feet per minute. At this point, assuming this isn't cooling, the weight of the air will overcome the momentum and you'll lose the surface effect. The air will detach from the ceiling. Once it detaches from the ceiling, it'll slow down quickly, and T50 will be shorter than the isothermal catalog data. That is, unless it runs into a wall or another diffuser's airflow. Let's draw on a wall on this side. What happens then? If the diffuser is close to the wall, the air pattern is going to go down the wall. If it hits the wall at greater than 100 feet per minute, it'll affect the throw such that the T50 of cooling will be the same as the cataloged isothermal T50. So we'll draw that in down here somewhere. Now let's say on the other side of this diffuser is another diffuser and not a wall. So let's slide this over and draw in two diffusers close together. What happens when their airflow collides? Pretty much the same thing that happens when the airflow hits the wall. The airstreams will collide and go down at this point. If the velocities that they collide at is greater than 100 feet per minute, then the cooling T50 will be the same as the cataloged isothermal T50. This means that the throw will be longer than if it wasn't colliding, so you have to be careful about putting people below this spot where they might be getting air higher than 50 feet per minute on the top of their heads while they're sitting there. Now let's move this out of the way and look at what happens when there's an obstruction in the way of the airflow. So let's draw our diffuser again. Now say there's a wood beam or some architectural detail next to the diffuser. This is probably like half the restaurants I've ever been to where they have really interesting ceilings, but it makes it very tough for air distribution. What's going to happen when the air runs into this obstruction? Well, if the angle from the edge of the diffuser to the bottom of the obstruction is greater than 15 degrees, the air will drop. So it'll come out of the diffuser like this. When it hits the obstruction, it's going to turn down and drop into the space. If it's less than 15 degrees, then the airflow will just flow right past the obstruction. Also, if the airflow hits the obstruction at greater than T150, it'll also just flow past the obstruction. Different diffusers work differently with obstructions. Ceiling-dependent diffusers do not work as well with obstacles as ceiling-independent diffusers do. So let's bring everything back on screen. That covers what happens when airstreams collide. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks for watching.